this experiential evening shared together. With this great gratitude, I simply let it all be exactly perfect as it is. And together we say, and so it is.
So it is. Thank you, Karen. You know what? While you're up there, I'm going to do this to you. Stay there. So on my way here, as I was leaving my house, our toilets got clogged. Laura let me know. And so I had to spend some time doing that. And all of a sudden, as I was plunging the toilet, I was really thinking about science of mind. And I was, and what it meant. And one of the things the ministerial students need to really get great at is how do they use their life experiences in the second that something like that happens. If, let's say I was on my way to church that morning, I would probably bring it up in my talk. So I'm giving you a couple minutes here to talk about a clogged toilet and how that relates to the science of mind.
Okay. Everything relates to the science of mind, so it's not hard once you think of it in that mindset. I think that the clogged toilet is something that happens. Poop happens, literally and figuratively. And, you know, sometimes the toilet flows easily and freely, and sometimes things happen that cause the toilet to clog up. We can stomp around, we can get upset about it, we can let it ruin our day, or we can look at it like, okay, the toilet is clogged, what do I need to know right now? And we take action to clear the clog. The clog is not going to go away just by sitting there cursing at it. So as practitioners of the science of mind, we know that we have a choice in how we're going to react to it, how we're going to respond to it, and what action we're going to take to solve the problem and transform it into a new situation.
Great, good, okay. David,
Sure.
what are you going to say about it? Let's stand up.
Thank you.
Talk to these lovely people.
Lovely people.
I am looking for something specific.
Am I supposed to be sitting over there?
You're good. No. It's not that kind of thing. It's not the dance at the gym from West Side Story.
As we go through life, we can get clogged up. As we go through life, stuff fills us with things that most often can flow right on through, but every once in a while, for whatever the reason may be, maybe it's too much stuff, gets clogged up, and we can be a little bit stuffed and not flowing to the perfection that we can be. At that point, that's exactly when it's the right time to find a practitioner and to find a minister, counselor, and to help that person plunge into the depths of our minds and help us to release and flush away all of the crap that's been clogging our minds, and will flow so much more easily. Namaste.
So between the two of them, that's what I was looking for. I was looking for that, to really take the science of mind, to really take the idea that the toilet is the mind, the clog is all the crap we constantly put into our mind, and the plunger is conscious mind taking charge. And I like that you put it to go to a practitioner if you can't figure it out. We would call a plumber, except that I kind of know how to do it in my house. But we would call a plumber, right? So you'd call a practitioner to get in there. And Sandra's like, what did I just walk into? So you all get it?
Yeah.
So, and that's a perfect thing to do on a Sunday morning if that happened, because it's so human, it's so real, and everyone's going to relate to it. And the next time anyone any of you have a clogged toilet, I guarantee you're going to think to yourself, it's my mind. What do I need to clear here? But if you stand around trying to clear your mind, the toilet's probably not going to unclog. You still have to take action, right? Okay.
I saw a talk, just speaking of Joel Osteen's wife. Help me out. What's her name?
Mrs. Osteen?
Yeah. Anyway, talk, because I've been like researching talks, and it was like a 10-15-minute talk on one thing, and it was that she went to her computer in the morning, it wasn't working, she couldn't figure it out, she called her computer guy, and he had her unplug the entire thing, and she's like, we need to unplug, and it was like a 15-minute talk on that one thing. That was it.
Are you a jet or a shark?
On the analogy of that, of our spirituality,
Yeah.
and how, all the spiritual distinctions around that one little thing.
Mm-hmm. Hello. Were you too often eclectic? Tell me you were.
Sorry.
Oh, okay. It's okay. So the only ones missing now are Karen Frost and Mariana's here too. Okay, so we're good. Is that correct?
My overhead kitchen light just went out. What do I need to know?
Ellen?
You're never in the dark. Allow truth to shine.
And buy a bulb.
That was fair one.
Yes, exactly. Yes, got it.
Yay.
Okay, so 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. No, wait. Oh yeah, 8 and 8. And then Lori Savage, are you there?
She's running late from work.
How late is she?
She just told me she was headed home.
That's your client, Helen. Lori Savage. So the first thing I want to do is, I have a couple things to do tonight. First thing I want to do is say that last night, the closing class of Essential Ernest Holmes was probably the most remarkable night of my entire teaching career ever. It was, it was unbelievable. First of all, I think it's unheard of that an entire class stayed together for the entire 10 weeks and grew, didn't go down, got bigger, and everyone showed up and did their 5-minute end of class project. So imagine that, 26 people, well, some of them, and 2 of them were online, but no, 26 and then 2 more online. Everyone did 5 minutes last night, which is why the class went from 7 o'clock till 11:30. But it was remarkable. And the thing that was remarkable about it was that what I noticed was that this community has changed so drastically. What is being attracted to this center are serious people, serious students that are actually really wanting to know how this science is going to work in their life. There was no bullshit last night. There weren't any complainers. There was like no time for small talk almost. It was just, everybody just sat and everybody was so invested. And David, I know you wanted to say something too about last night.
I was so impressed with everything, the quality of the presentations and the brilliance, ingenuity, and as I put it last night, the genius of the collected minds joining together into one mind was moving. I was moved last night in a way that doesn't happen all the time, and so appreciated what everybody brought to the table. And it's interesting.
And brought to the table.
And the food was great. There was such a diversity of food and wine. And wine. And everybody was having a great time that way. But it was also presented so beautifully well and with a great amount of diversity. Some funny stuff. Just drop to the floor laughing.
Yeah.
And then just some really beautiful and moving stuff. And it was just a beautiful combination that by the end of the night, I'm just like, wow. That's exactly what I said.
Wow. There was a guy in the class who was waiting for the class, and the class got postponed a couple times. And he was just like, come on, I'm dying to get in this class. And he took the first 2 classes and got pissed off and then left for a class. Now, this is someone who is 15 years sober from a very heavy meth addiction. And I don't know what pissed him off. I don't even recall what it was. You guys might, but belief. Oh, well, that was a different pissed off. That was the end of the class. This is in the beginning. Something came up, which was,
we were discussing.
It was the idea of AA and everything, and about your beliefs that there really is no reason to. It was about having habits and stuff. So he didn't come 1 week, and then he came back the week later and told me how pissed off he was, but he came back anyway. And I'm telling you guys this, especially the you ministers. There's a fine line between staying on principle and teaching in a way, teaching down to a class, which you will never ever do. Let them get pissed off. If someone needs to get pissed off because you are so clear and you will not step off principle, you will not acquiesce to the truth. Now, the truth is you also then have to find a way to make it palpable. And that's really important. So he came back and he spent the next so many weeks with us. And then until the last class before the big showdown, we were talking about belief creates our thoughts, thoughts create our feelings, and feelings create our emotions. And that's the line, the way it goes. Everything falls back to a belief. And then we got into a huge fight about that again. But it didn't matter, because in the end, what he came around to, which was so touching to me last night, was that as challenging as this is, it's always our ego that's fighting, not the truth. And that there is a truth, an undeniable truth. And he started his project last night by reading the preview to his book. And it started with, Dear Meth, I want to apologize to you for thinking you were the problem. As soon as he said, Dear Meth, like my son, Will was listening, and he said, as soon as he said Dear Meth, he had me. He said, who says Dear Meth? And it was so touching. I was very touched by that. And, but there were so many awesome, one of the guys got up and did a video because he has a fear of heights. So he decided to go to the Science Museum and take that thing that you ride across the top of the museum on a bicycle. And then he said, I was going to prove that beliefs equal our thoughts, and our thoughts equal our emotions, and our feelings create our emotions. And I know what my emotions are about this, and I know how I feel, and I know what I think about it. So I'm going back to my belief, I'm changing it, and I'm going to do it. And he said, ultimately, my video will now prove to you that my emotions are very strong. Because he sat there in it, and then we kept trying to talk him out of it, and finally he just stopped. He said, can't do it. And so he climbed a rock wall. But it was very high too, which he showed us how high that was. So it was that kind of an evening. And and we also had a 16-year-old that took all 10 weeks of the class, never missed a class, and Sydney. And she did a video of making up half of her face and talking about being bullied and not understanding who she was, and understanding that in these 10 weeks she figured out the truth and that it doesn't matter what other people think. It was unbelievable. And she just, the whole time, she's making up half of her face to show that I can do this and I can do this, and both are equally important. It was amazing. So the whole night was amazing. And I also bring this up because teaching a class does not mean you get up and lecture from a book on something that you know. If you don't find a way to engage the class, then most likely it just keeps, as many of the classes here have done, they start and then they just diminish. They get less and less and less. But if you give people something that just keeps growing them, then they will keep coming back and want to be. And there'll be every now and then somebody who doesn't get it or doesn't want it, and that's fine. And you have to be okay with that. Because one of the last things I want to do is create ministers who acquiesce to the students and then just water down the teaching. That is not this center. You can go somewhere else for that. I can tell you which ones they are. So, in my opinion, yes. No judgment at all, just opinion. And it's a doctor's opinion now, so.
I bet I've sung there.
Yes, you have sung there. So anyway, so now let's get to counseling. So tonight is a very important night. There are only 3 classes left for the ministerial students. Tonight is their last counseling session. Next week, we'll be all on services. We will be doing weddings and funerals and bar mitzvahs, weddings and funerals and baby naming ceremonies, and how do we do all of those? And then the final week is our party, which I have a little surprise about that too. So counseling. Let me explain what your job is. Those who are here and will be in the counseling session, I beg you, beg you. This is not a night for you to be polite and kind to the person you are working with. I don't want to hear, oh, they were perfect, beautiful, everything was amazing, unless it was absolutely perfect, beautiful, and amazing. You will not help them by coming in here and doing lip service because you can't be critical. Critical does not mean mean, and it doesn't mean angry or sarcastic. Critical just means you are critiquing. And there are certain levels that you're going to be critiquing from. And I'm about to go through them. But it is important. If you are sitting with someone you feel they didn't hear you, they're asking stupid questions, I need to hear that. And you can say it in a nice way. Don't come in and go, stupid question. You wasted my night. Just be honest. I want you to, because as they know, I have been extraordinarily honest for 2 years. There's not a person, not on this way, there's not a person who sat in these seats as ministers who haven't left here at least one night crying. Maybe Sharon Kelly. You never cried, did you? Erin doesn't cry. She just fixes instantly. She corrects instantly. But there are people, I mean, it's tough. It's a tough thing. I don't create ministers. Well, Sandra knows too. How many times did those guys walk away crying? I don't think you ever did. No. One. Yes, your ex-wife. Yes. So, right in the middle of, no, that was in the middle of a practitioner session. Yeah, it was a practitioner meeting. Yeah, it was a revealing circle. Yeah, it revealed a lot. Yeah. So they're used to this. They want to know the truth. You don't help them by having them do a counseling session with you. I'm only going to sit in on 5 minutes of the hour you're with them. 5 minutes. Because I can only take 5 minutes to be with 9 students. That's 45 minutes. So I can probably do 6 minutes. 6 times 9 is 54. I could do 6 minutes. And I will have an alarm clock on my phone to get me out of there in 6 minutes. So here's what you're looking for. Every one of the ministers will have a space in this building that is their space. Okay, they're going to pick us a number. That number is going to give them a space. Connie has all of this information. As soon as they pick a number, Connie will tell them where that space is. Then your job is to go make that space user-friendly for your session. Okay, some of you are going to luck out and get my office. One of you will get the practitioner room. Helen will do her work online, of course. Lori Savage. Hello, Lori. Okay, we never can see her. She's okay. So you'll get a few minutes while I talk to them even more to make sure they're going to be really to say what they feel. So you'll get about 5 minutes to go. Just create your space, just to make sure A, it's open, and B, it's not in a way that doesn't work for you. So here's what you're looking for. When you leave here, you're going to go to your space where you're going, and it's just as if you are going to a counseling session. When you show up, the very first, you've got a few areas of criteria. The greeting, when they greet you, when you go in, how was the preamble? The invocation. How did it go before you started talking about your issues? Okay, that's very important. Number 2, the session itself before the treatment. So the session, which is the longest part of it. The questions, how they were asked. Did you feel you were listened to? Did they point you in the wrong direction? Were they making assumptions? Were they judging? Any of that goes on during that whole session. Did they they find what was going on? Did they take you to a better place? Did they take you to a higher understanding of what was going on? Did you know exactly what the treatment was supposed to be about by the time it was over? And then how was the treatment? And then the exit. So that's what you're looking for, those areas. The invocation, the treatment, the discussion, the treatment, and the benediction exit, okay? And all the facets that go with that. So you all clear? Okay. And it's really important that you speak out to say how it felt, because Ernest Holmes says the demonstration's in the feeling. And if there's no feeling coming out of this, except a feeling of, I don't know that they got me, nothing's happening. Nothing is happening. You should revoke the check, So that's what your job is. Now you all know what your job is because I just told you where the criteria is. Counseling is one of the biggest parts of your ministry. It's great if you can get up and give a talk, and you can be inspirational on stage on a Sunday morning or in wherever you are. But your one-on-one with your congregation is what creates your ministry. Who you show up as in that room. So it is very, very important that you understand you are a minister from the time you become a minister 24/7. Now, so people see you wherever you are in life. If they run into you at Costco and you're screaming at someone, they're probably not coming to you for counseling after that. because you're not someone that really has a grip on their own life. So that's the life you've chosen to step into. And I have lost a couple people because they saw me in a moment where I've lost my own sense of self. Now, I could have lost a lot more, but when that happens to me, I'm very quick to say, I'm so sorry. And I'm very clear. I know exactly who I was then, and there's no need for that. So as far as counseling is concerned for tonight, it's imperative that you find out what's going on and get to the belief. Find out what's really the subtext underneath this. As far as me coming in and out of the room, I would rather not be, don't stop and say, oh, hi, that's not it. I'm not there. I'm just going to step in to catch whatever 6 minutes of your session I'm going to catch. So I at least have a sense of what I experience for every single person. Okay? Clients, in terms of counseling, when someone comes to you for counseling, they're coming to you in a very vulnerable state. There is an issue. There's something going on. It is very possible and happens for a misunderstanding of emotion and feelings to take place between clients and ministers. One of the things that, and excuse me for those of you who are congregants, but most everyone here is going into practitioner training, so that's why I pretty much picked this group. I put on the wall, do you all remember the initials that were on the blackboard the first night of class? What were they, Karen? DFF. Don't fondle the flock. Except I used a different F instead of fondle. I'm being polite tonight, right? I can't tell you how many ministers and practitioners have almost or have lost their licenses because of this thing that happens. And counseling is one of the biggest places it happens. Someone opens up their heart and soul to you, and they all of a sudden, there's a feeling that happens. You know them, they know you, and the ministers fall for it too. Suddenly they feel like they're helping you and they're emotional with you. And next thing you know, someone's crossed the line, someone's calling me, ethics has come in, and now we've lost a minister or a practitioner. So it is imperative that you stay impersonally involved in whoever comes towards you for counseling. There's truth and principle. That's it. The rest of it's bullshit. Even their problem is bullshit. Emma Kurtz Hopkins would tell you. Their problem means nothing. The only thing that matters is that they are divine, perfect beings. And your job is to get them back to that. That's it. So the minute you get involved in them and your emotions get involved in that, now you're in empathy and sympathy and compassion, and you're screwed. So it is about, now it's also not about being cold-hearted. I don't sit in a counseling session and go, what is it? Tell me. I don't just go very cold. I'm very compassionate and very loving. But the minute I start that, the minute that invocation is over, I am just on principle. That's it. So it's very important to know that. I can't tell you how important this is. Seasoned, smart, intelligent people have gotten caught in this and almost lost their licenses and almost kicked out of being a minister. So very important. Any questions from anyone after that beautiful little?
How long are the sessions?
An hour. And here's the deal. I want you to use your timers. Set your timer for 45 minutes so that and please do a timer that's not like, dang it, don't scare the client. Make sure it's a pretty chime or something soft, so that in 45 minutes, if you're still chatting, you've got 15 minutes to call it a day. And you're clear that you can wrap this up and move on to the treatment. And the treatment, by the way, unless you're feeling it, you better keep talking. Your job is to make something happen. And I mean that. And I don't mean make something happen as though you're having to do it. But in your mind, to create the emotion and the feeling, you must know when you are finished that session, you have made something happen. You have moved energy. You have created an energy that has done something. Something has to have shifted, been done, or else you've just done lip service. Anybody else? Karen?
Do we still give the disclaimer and the warning in the beginning about being a mandated reporter?
Yes.
And all that?
Well, here's the thing. We have talked about this, but That would be lovely. I don't do a disclaimer at the top of every one of my sessions. I don't. However, you may have to in the beginning of your career because you may miss something. I am so clear if I even sense that someone's even going to consider going there, I do the disclaimer. But 99 out of 10 times, no, 99 out of 100 times, I don't ever have to give a disclaimer. You'll know if someone's going to start down the path of I abused my elderly or I sexually abused someone or whatever. Also be clear. It's interesting. My son came to me yesterday and said, I'm afraid to tell you this because I know you're a mandated reporter. And I was like, okay. I said, is this about you? He said, no, it's about a friend of mine. I said, I'm not a mandated reporter for hearsay. You tell me about a friend of yours, I can't report that. I said, and a lot of people get in trouble for doing that. I said, I'm not going to report what you're telling me because you could be wrong. They could be wrong. They could be telling you for some stupid reason that I don't even know. So please be clear. If someone's going to tell you a story of someone else, you can say, I am a mandated reporter, but I can't report hearsay. Because they may also be coming to you to get you to report it. That happens. People have used me, trying to use me, a husband over a wife once, saying, this is what my wife does to the kids. And I was like, I can't help you unless your child comes in and tells me that. Okay? You got to be really clear. And then that particular person wasn't even there for any kind of healing, just wanted to get his wife at the police station. And the session was not as long as it would have been had he been there really for what he needed, which was some peace of mind. Yeah, Karen?
That's my other question. What if it just goes amazingly well and the person is a great communicator and you get right to the belief and do an amazing treatment and you're done and it's like 40 minutes and you're just done?
Most people will feel gypped.
So
if you've told them your session is an hour, they're paying for an hour of your time. Remember, what are they paying for? Your time. So, and most of you know, because most of you have had sessions with me, you know I don't ever cut short, but I have a timer. I sometimes go long if someone's really upset about something, but the timer's still there and they know I'm going long. We just don't go long. I'm clear with them. I'm going to go for another 5 minutes. 5 minutes. So, yeah, I mean, truthfully speaking, if you're like, remember, you're ministers now. You're not a practitioner. A practitioner should not go longer than a half an hour because a practitioner cannot be sitting there discussing this, and a practitioner should not be giving any advice whatsoever. A practitioner's job is to just know the truth. Tell me your issue. Here's the truth. That's what you do as a practitioner. As a minister, you get to discuss, you get to talk, you get to give suggestions for their spiritual practice, ways that they might act upon whatever's going on. So if you get that done in less than in 40 minutes, then someone came to you for something that really wasn't an issue. But still, talk. Then ask them, how's their day? Any other questions from you guys? Anything that you guys need to know? You're like, I'm afraid to talk to them now. Okay, so
Can I ask a question, James?
Yes.
After the hour, so do we come back and get the feedback?
After the hour, you're going to come back, and every single person is going to give their feedback of the minister. Okay. The minister is not going to get to, I want no defensiveness and I want no excuses. I don't want you to explain a thing. I'm not interested in your explanation. I'm only interested in you hearing how it came off. Because you can have all the intentions you had in the world, but if it didn't come off that way, oh well. Okay? It's just for you to listen tonight to that. Okay? And I may have something to say. I'm sure I will. Right. So Helen, yeah, yours is online. So obviously you and Laurie, and I will pick up the headphones and listen at some point to what's going on.
And we will stop record so that their session isn't recorded. Correct.
Yeah, and yes. And frankly, you can stop record anyway until we come back because there's going to be an hour of nothing. And yeah, I don't want Laurie. You all, just so you know, everything that you shared tonight, they're all practitioners. So whatever you take into this session is totally sacred. So this is not like we can all discuss what you all talked about. When you come back, it's not about you sharing what you were talking about, unless for some reason you decide to do that, at which point it's still a room full of people who are all bound by their code of ethics. Okay, everybody clear on that? Well, actually, no, you're not all bound by your code of ethics, those of you who are not practitioners. So, you'll use your own judgment as to what you want to share. I just need to know, what did you get? How did it resolve? I think that is it. So we will come back. You will all give your critiques, and we'll see what time it is before we would have to do anything else, which we may not have to do anything else. I know you're leaving at 9:30, at 9 o'clock.
Yeah, whenever we're done with our first thing,
Yes.
then we'll get the critique going.
Right. I'll do your critique first.
The online.
Yes, got it. I think that's it. What I'll do is I will set up this. Well, you can just stand right there to do it. If you stand right under this mic, you'll be heard when you do your critiques. I think that's it. Any other questions? Reverend Jamie will also be stopping in and out to just listen. That's it, but not at the same time as me. So, do you have those little things? No, the things that are torn up.
Oh, there it is. In the
Oh,
budget.
great, thank you. Okay, which one's which? Oh, these are the numbers, right? Okay, so, David, Terry, just take one. You can't be in two places at once. Yet. That's the only one left, so take it. Okay, so who has number one? Connie, where's number one? Who is number two? Number two is, that's my lobby, right outside my door. Number three?
On stage.
You're on stage. Not yet, nope. Number four?
Green room.
You're right outside the green room. Number five? You got the practitioner room. Number six?
My office.
Who has number six? Okay, who has number seven?
Me. The classroom.
You're in here. Who got number eight? Karen has number eight. Dressing room downstairs, which will go down, and I will go with you so they can look at those dressing rooms. I left them nice, but we'll see what happens. Okay, so, and I'll go this way since you were last. Are you going to sleep through your course? So this is who's going to go with her. She's sleeping through hers. Go ahead. Who do you have? Okay, good.
I don't know. Eric Ross probably knows.
Karen, who do you have?
Airport.
Eric Bork. Karen Mitchell has
Rudy Castro.
Rudy Castro. Sharon Kelly has Suzanne Benoit. She's the Pope, by the way. She's the Pope of our class. Erin Haskell has Becky Kemmer. Mariana Kitts has
Sandra Dixon.
Sandra Dixon. Who did I miss? Oh, thank you, David. David has
Francesca.
And that means I imagine you have Sean Scanlon. Right? Because you haven't, no one's had you yet, right? You do. Okay. So please, everyone go to their spaces. Ministers, go to your spaces. Everybody else stay in here for a moment. What's up?
I just didn't remember what it was. That's
Oh, wait. So tell me again, who has number one? Everyone go tell your client where you're going to be. Tell your client where you're going to be. Connie, did you set anything up around? Did you set all the spaces up? By any chance?